For the longest time, my coloring books have only existed online and have been available through my shop exclusively. But this year, I decided to try something new. And for the first time ever, my coloring books will be available in person at the Blue Genie Art Bazaar here in Austin, Texas. It took a couple of weeks of packing, prepping, and figuring it out all as I went, but I'm finally ready for my first market, and here is how it all came together. Now, if you're not local to the area or are unfamiliar with this event, the Blue Genie Art Bazaar is a little bit different than typical markets that I think we're most familiar with. This market is open daily for several weeks starting on November 14th through December 24th, Christmas Eve. The event features more than 200 artists and their works all in one space with a central checkouts area, so I will not need to be there every single day. Instead, I just need to set up and stock my display area and restock as needed. And because I've never done a market before, I don't have the experience of knowing where to even begin with all of the prep, but I figure that before I do anything, the most important thing that I probably should do is count my stock and inventory. I always do a count whenever I get my books in from my manufacturer, and I record it all in my shop details on my website, but I wanted to double check to make sure that I have the most accurate numbers. And in total, on hand, I had about 150 to 170 of each of my regular coloring books, and about 20 or so of my mini books. So with this in mind, I then have to decide how much of each product I would bring to the market. Now, as I've mentioned, throughout the market, I only need to come to restock and fix up my display as needed. But because the location of the event is about 45 minutes to an hour away with traffic for me, I decided that I wanted to prepare as many books as possible and partake in the Hire a Genie program instead. This means I only really need to come to set up my display and initially stock it with my products and leave extras for them to restock for me every week as needed. Now, I've never done anything like this, as I have mentioned many times now already, so I had no idea what was an appropriate number of books to bring, but I felt that I'd rather have way too much than way too little, so I decided that I would bring about 100 of each of my books, which means that I need to pack and prep 500 coloring books in total, because I would rather be over-prepared. And anyway, anything that doesn't sell by the end of the market, I can just bring back home. So to prep my books, I'm going to put all of them into their own sleeves so that they're protected, and I'll also be including a thank you card with each book. These are the same thank you cards that I include with my online orders, and it has my shop and social media information along with a short note that thanks my customers for making their purchase. This is obviously extra and not necessary at all, but I wanted to include this because I want anyone who makes a purchase to know that I'm very appreciative of their support. Plus, if they want more information about my shop or business, they have the information to find me on the card. And on top of that, the card can double as an art print, so I hope everyone likes it. Now, putting 500 books into sleeves definitely took the longest and felt like the most tiring because I constantly have to move them around, but there's still more to do before they're all ready. Additionally, they all need to be individually price tagged, and I figured the best way to do that was to print out my prices on shipping labels because they don't need to be too big anyway. Then I could just cut them up and easily stick them onto the back. This would probably be the fastest and cheapest option, so that's what I did. Now, while I finished preparing my coloring book inventory, I want to give you some context about how I found out about Blue Genie and the path that led us here. So, I think I first heard about this event through a YouTube video made by Kendra from Can You Believe It? It was a video about her setup for Blue Genie's May market that happens during the late spring season. I was very intrigued by the event and looked up the details when I heard that it was here in Austin, Texas, and marked down the dates that applications would be open for their holiday market. I didn't think much about it because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it or not. I have never done anything like this whatsoever, and I was a bit nervous by the idea of it, but eventually convinced myself that when the time came to at least apply because an application isn't an automatic entry, I still had to be accepted. So on June 27th, I filled out and submitted my application early. I didn't want to overthink it too much or convince myself out of it, so it felt good to get the first step done. As per the guidelines, I wasn't expecting an answer until September, but on August 29th, I got the email that I had been accepted and was invited to participate in Blue Genie. By this point, the idea of doing my first market was getting more exciting, and I was starting to feel more confident and willing to join. I also felt that this could be a really good opportunity, plus the fact that I didn't have to be there in person made it easier to say yes and commit, which all leads us to now, where I'm planning and preparing for the event. Now, with my book set, I also want to bring some smaller products, and I'm thinking that stickers would be the best bet, so I'm going to prep about 8 different designs to bring with me to add to my display. Doing my stickers will actually be easier and quicker to do because I'm not going to put them in any kind of sleeve, so all I have to do is put a price tag on the back of every single one. Also, since my setup will largely focus on my coloring books, I decided not to prepare or bring too many of each sticker. I figured 20 of each should be good enough. Plus, I don't have a huge stock of stickers anyways, since I switched to outsourcing the manufacture of them, so hopefully my estimate should be enough. Now, while I haven't participated in any markets myself, I have definitely seen plenty of market vlogs here on YouTube, and a recurring piece of advice that I hear is to make your prices clear and obvious. So now I'm going to work on making a few display and price signs. I want to make a few price signs that are big and easy to read so that my customers know immediately how much each thing costs. I'll do one for each kind of product, so there'll be one for the main coloring books, another for each of the mini books, and one for my stickers. To make these, I just printed my designs out onto sticker paper, then laminated the front so they last a little bit longer, and then used my Cricut to cut out each one. Additionally, I also made some tags for my display coloring books. These books would be out and easy accessible for customers to flip through and see the pages before buying. But I want to make it obvious that they can pick it up and open them, so I'm making these tags that I can put on each book. I wanted all of my signs to be as clear and legible as possible, but I also wanted them to be a bit more eye-catching, so I made them all with different colored backgrounds and included my characters where I could. Now, we're close to the end of all the prep, and load-in day is almost upon us, so the last thing I had to do was assemble my display shelves. I wanted my display books to be easily accessible and as visible as possible, so I bought 2 of these display shelves to hold my books and stickers. I think my books will look really good in these, and it is exactly what I was looking for to hold my books upright. The assembly of these was pretty quick and simple, and once I had them both ready, I tested out my setup to make sure that everything looked good. Now the last thing to do is to pack up the car and head to the event space and finally set up for Blue Genie. Unfortunately, I was way too focused on showing up and getting everything looking right that I didn't record myself setting up my booth. I also have never recorded myself in a public space before, so it didn't really cross my mind to set up my camera in the moment to record everything, but here is a look at the final setup. Because this was my first time, I opted for a shared shelf space, and I think I have a really good spot for my first time. I'm right by the bar, kind of near the front, so hopefully this means good sales in the end. Now, I want to thank you so much for watching this whole video until the end, and for following along the journey of prepping for my first market event. Blue Genie is open every single day through Christmas Eve from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So if you're from the area or if you will be visiting for the holidays, I hope you can take a moment to stop by and take a look around. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a creative rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!